Some civil society organizations in Nigeria have raised alarm over what they call the country's heavy dependence on external aid to fight HIV, tuberculosis and malaria is no longer sustainable. At a workshop in Abuja, key players called for coordinated efforts to mobilize domestic resources and take ownership of health financing as foreign donors continue to scale back funding for health interventions.
This Abuja gathering of civil society actors, health officials and program leads, organized by Stop TB Partnership Nigeria, is aimed at developing a unified roadmap for mobilizing funds locally to sustain the fight against HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. Board chair of Stop TB Partnership Nigeria emphasized the urgent need for civil society groups to work collectively and lead the change in canvassing for local funding, warning that inconsistent and dwindling foreign support cannot sustain the fight against infectious diseases in Nigeria.
We cannot continue to depend indefinitely on the donor all the time. And so we have to take that bold step. In this room this morning, this room is full of experiences and expertise, both technical and otherwise, for us to drive this process so that we can be the mouthpiece for the vulnerable, for the less privileged, for our communities.
Other speakers suggested a shift from dependency to ownership, emphasizing that health is a national responsibility that cannot be outsourced.
For too long, we have waited on other countries to fund the work that we do. And we have been arguing and advocating that the most important attribute that a person has is their health. So we as a collective people cannot give out the responsibility for our health to other people. So what we need to do is to pay for the things that make for the good health of Nigerians. Now, in order to do that, the civil society has a role to play in advocacy and ensure and keeping up with the government and partners and those who are responsible to ensure that they appropriate enough money for health. And once they do that, the funds are also released and used judiciously.
The three-day workshop expected to produce a harmonized roadmap for civil society-led domestic resource mobilization in line with national health priorities is also targeted to build the capacity of CSO networks and strengthen collaboration for sustainable health outcomes. Ogom Izedimbo, AIT News, Abuja.
Now, joining me in the studio is Tajuddin Ibrahim, Executive Secretary, Global Fund Country Coordinating Mechanism, Nigeria. Welcome to AIT Reports.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is a gathering of CSOs and other health experts. Why is it so important, for the civil society organizations to take the lead in advocating for domestic health financing?
Thank you very much. The current administration, under the leadership of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has an agenda called Renew Hope. And the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, led by Professor Mohamed Ali Pate, who double as the chairman of the Global Fund Country Coordinating Mechanism in Nigeria, has this high agenda in terms of mobilizing adequate resources to health, and not just mobilizing the resources, but using the resources mobilized for health reasons. And in that context, the civil society, as a member of the Country Coordinating Mechanism for Global Fund in Nigeria, who's represent about 50% when it comes to the composition of the membership, they've taken this as a challenge that must be taken very seriously. And in that context, in collaboration with the CSO networks and CCM, this workshop is organized, taking into account that the recent developments around the globes, looking at the donor, where financial resources to health is being threatened. The civil society believe that with the support of CSO, with their network, the strength, the population they have, they can support the government, taking into account that there are different platforms where resources could be mobilized for health. Looking at public financial sector, it also look at international donor. There are several international donors that have not probably been identified at the moment, which the civil society have access to when it comes to their reach. And on that platform, it is our belief that this workshop is going to provide opportunity for all the civil society to come together, taking into account that before now, the civil society have been doing some level of resource mobilization, but not in a synergized manner. Yeah. Thank you.
Now, the CSOs are faced, with challenges in trying to mobilize, local resources for health programs. What are some of these challenges?
Yeah, considering the nature of civil society, the government sees civil society as non-organized settings. But looking at the way and manner the civil society have been composed and then operate in the last decades, they've proven to be an entity that needs to be reckoned with. One of the challenges they are having in terms of mobilizing resources is non-availability of a resource need document, like a document called budget that speaks concisely to the health needs or a program. So this has been one of their challenges. The other challenges that the civil society has also faced in the past is the inability to come together and work together. So they work in disarray. You have civil society for malaria, you have civil society for HIV. So when they are speaking, this force is not coming together. And the other opportunity, the other challenges that has faced the civil society when it comes to the mobilizing the resources required is the inability of the civil society before now to be able to engage key stakeholders, which this workshop is providing a platform for, irrespective of the sectors, the sectors, government, private sector, civil society have opportunity to mobilize this resource. So they are using this opportunity now to harmonize their strength, the strategy, and the approach, which will now be used to engage all sectors identified, including National Assembly. And for lack of words, in the recent development, the CCM, through the effort of the civil society and the coordinating minister of health, have engaged the National Assembly more, both the House of Representatives and Senate, and they've seen the reason why we should work together and address the challenges, both the one being faced by civil society in terms of mobilizing resources, as well as the one being faced by government entity in terms of mobilizing the need resources and obtain access to the allocated resources, then for it to be properly used for health needs.
Beyond donor funding, how will this roadmap address the issue of sustainability?
Thank you. Beyond donors funding, domestic resource mobilization is what this roadmap is focusing on. And when it comes to domestic resource mobilization, it talks about government, private sector, which currently we've not even explored to the letter. Then we have philanthropists within the community. For the purpose of record, the civil society, to an extent, have been able to mobilize resources which probably have not been properly documented and captured in MTAM document of government. Meeting philanthropists in the community, there are instances where civil society have been able to meet individuals who has built a private or public health facility. There are some instances where public facility have been upgraded with health equipment, and there are some instances where civil society also have mobilized resources to buy commodities for certain interventions within the community where they operate. So this roadmap, beyond donor funding, beyond international agency, will look inward and identify potential from government across the 3 tiers of government: local government, state government, federal government, including working with legislators like the National Assembly that I mentioned earlier.
Thank you so much for your time. I've been speaking with Tajuddin Ibrahim. He is Executive Secretary, Global Fund Country Coordinating Mechanism, Nigeria. And he has been deliberating on the CSOs on domestic funding. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the good work.
You're still watching AIT Reports. We'll now take a break.